What up, brothers? It's Clip King returning for a follow-up video. Anybody who knows my channel knows the last video I put up was a video called Unboxing, where I unboxed 2 wired capes sent to me by a guy called Rich, otherwise known as DarkSpartan. If you look back through that video, you'll see on a few of the comments, he has answered the comments and I haven't, simply because they are his capes. He sent me one free of charge, and then because I had to choose between an 8-wired version and a 6-wired version, I could pick the one I wanted, and then the other one is for sale. That is still the case. And also, if you want one specially made, or you want to keep the version that I keep sort of thing, you can go to him and buy this cape directly from him. Now, I'll start off by just showing you the pose I've got the Batman in at the moment. If you did watch that first video, you did see that I did put a little pose at the end. That was just to sort of get the interest for him, because I thought it could be a while before I do this video, simply because I've had a bit of cold and flu over the last week, and it's really knocked life out of me. I have obviously had to carry on going to work, but last thing I wanted to do when I got home from work was get the camera out and start messing about, taking figures out of this top shelf and filming basically and start cutting. But I always intended to come back to it. So as you can see, we're referring to the DX12 Batman from Hot Toys. An awesome figure. So if I show you down, like I say, I've got the 8 version wide cape round him. Pretty much got it sweeping round, and obviously that does hold because of the wires inside. It is an awesome cape. The material is bang on, and when it poses, if you put the time in, you get the look out, and it is really nice. So let's move around and show you how the cape goes. As you can see, it all sweeps round. It's sort of, I think it's really nice for that pose, because normally most people just have the cape sort of draped behind him, and that is a good look. It is accurate, obviously, but this is more gives the cape a life of its own. As you can see, it all swirls round to Batman's left-hand side. The wires are obviously holding it, and then as it turns, you see it pulls round him at that side. Then it comes round and sort of tucks up at this side. I will say the craftsmanship and the material, the cut and stitch, is all awesome on this cape. Look, like I said, this tried to get in pose where you can see it from different angles, but obviously there is a position I want you to see the figure and cape from, and on this pose it is basically there. If you look at where Batman's eyes are, pretty much looking into camera there, and if you move down him, the cape swirls round. I have filmed this. I am filming in daylight as well, because I do want it to make the cape to show the cape in all its detail, so you will know what you're buying. Both versions of the cape do come in this material. Like I say, it's if you watch, I watched the extras on the Batman Begins film again a couple of days ago, and it basically said they use a really thin, like, parachute silk. And then what they do, they blow flock onto it, which is like basically blowing a texture onto the back to make it look like velvet without it actually being heavy velvet. And I would say this cape it's like a really fine faux suede, but it's nice because, like I say, it's not stiff at all. It does what the wires make it do. I mean, there's a wire straight through the middle of there, and there, and there, round this bend here, and then round this bend. And like I say, and just by nipping it and pushing the wire into place, you can sort of manipulate it and put it exactly where you are. I mean, even so, where it comes round there, tucks up behind where his fist is, and that holds natural. The weight of the material is not too heavy for the wire. And I will do some more extreme pose with the cape and the figure. I mean, the figure is not the most articulated figure that I've got, but this video is more so going to be about the cape around him than the figure itself. I do want to make the figure look good, because obviously if I can make the figure look good, then other people will want to get the cape and try and make their figure look same, and that is the idea. It's basically an advertisement for Rich's work. But like I say, I'm going to tell you by the end of this video which cape I'm going to keep, then the other one. If you are a UK collector, I think it makes more sense. Agree a price with Rich. Now, I think he sells these at around $70. Now, I personally think $70 is a lot for what in essence is a cape, but what you can do with it sort of elevates your figure to a new level. So where people would buy different head sculpts or different mouthpieces or this, that and other for the figures. I think a cape on a Batman does give it a new life, and I think the top end collectors will really think that that's a reasonable price. I do personally, but obviously I've always sort of said, if you can talk to a person and get it down, get it to a price that you're happy with, then I would recommend doing that. Nah, it's not my place to tell you to go and see Rich and ask him for some kind of discount. So I understand he's knocking 10% off anyway. So, like I say, if you are a UK collector and you want the spare cape that I don't keep, then if you see Rich for a price and then I'll ship it to you, you'll have it by Tuesday. So I just want to say that. So I'm going to put a pause in here. I'm going to go for some other poses. And like I say, I hope I leave you wanting this cape. Right, moving on to the second pose. First things first, you can see I've got the Bruce Wayne sculpt on. Pretty much got him. He's still on top of stairs. Pretty much in fight pose. Coming across or rotating with the to a right cross sort of thing, or right hook. His legs turning to sort of show that that's what's happening, and obviously the cape, as it's spinning round, is shooting out to the left hand side. Now, like I said, with this wired cape, it's not movie accurate, but it's more cartoon accurate or comic accurate if you want, because, or video game accurate. When you see Batman in a video game, his cape is very exaggerated. The things it does, they go for the artistic look over the realism what it would normally do. Now, if he's spun, there's no way he'd throw his cape out to that sort of extent. But I think looking at it with an artist's eye, it looks better, because obviously the wind's gathered in it and how it sort of twirls. Like I say, if you imagine he's rotating and coming across with a right cross, he's going to throw his cape out that way. So just, it demonstrates what the wire will do. And also, you can see there the stitching and the M work. That is now the 6-wire version, which is less fiddly, should I say. But for me, I prefer the 8-wire version, for a reason is you can sort of build layers, if that makes sense. You can pose one wire and then the next and the next and the next, and the wire will then hold the next section of the cape, where the quite big sections, because there's less wires. So like from that wire to the wire in there, that is a big section, so you're having to extend how high that one goes to drag this section of the cape up, if that makes sense. And then you've got a wire there. You've got one just underneath in there, look. And what you're doing, you're building layers of cape sort of thing. And then underneath, you've sort of got another one right inside there. One that's coming from the left-hand side of the cape that kills underneath his leg there. And then another one that's sort of spun up in his cape there. So that's in front. I think that's a nice looking pose. Like I say, it's not the most poseable figure, but I've just sort of changed it up, gone fight pose. I was going to put him on the pedestal, but I thought, no, I'll put him there because it looks like he's sort of a boxing style pose, but with his cape attached. And then as I turn it, oh, plenty of room. That's it from the back. So again, the cape still looks really good, and the sort of veins to replicate the bat wings, you can see them. The cut and stitch is really nice. Again, that's where the wire is, and because there's a big section that sort of the width for his shoulders where there's no wire at all in it, this one does hang a little bit more naturally than the other one. So if you wanted draped and you wanted very little pissing about with it sort of thing, then I would say go for the 6-wired version, but I personally prefer the 8-wired version. So like I said, as it stands, I would keep the 8-wire, so this one here would be for sale. What I will say is, and I don't want to embarrass Rich at any point, but when I was looking at this cape, and I've got to say this for honesty reasons, on one of the veins the wire poked out a little bit at the bottom, but what I did, I think it were sort of in that one, you see, it just poked out a tiny bit. All I did, just put a bit of a twist in the wire and poked it back up inside the vein. So if you did buy that, you would need to look out for that. Now, that might be a case saying, well, I still want that one. I want to buy that one from Rich. I've mentioned it now, so he knows I'm telling him truth. I don't know, it might be a case he wants to take this cape back, fix it and sell it fully correct sort of thing, or he might say, well, if somebody still wants it, like I say, it is easier if it's a UK collector, because I can just chuck it in post and you would have it by Tuesday. So if you did want that cape, talk to Rich, and as soon as Rich says to me, oh, so-and-so's bought it, here's his address, will you send it, then I'll ship it to you. I mean, the 6 wire version is awesome, as you can see. If you like that sort of pose, then I would say you need one of these capes, if you like something like that, and I do, personally. I do also like the Tony Mai one that just hangs nicely behind, but if you imagine that would now be a lot less dramatic. A pose like that with just a cape, a fine cape hanging down his back, it would be a lot less dramatic, and it wouldn't represent any form of movement. So that's why I think both are a good option. So yeah, I do like that pose actually. But I'm going to move on, probably get his Batman head back on and do something else, maybe with the guns or on the pedestal or whatever, just to show you again how you can bend and move the cape. Try and get it looking as fucking as imaginative as you can. I can't get my words out because my nose is blocked. So, but that's the second pose. I hope you like that, because I do. And I'll move on to another for you. Right, moving on. Batman head's back on, and also I've gone back to the 8-wired version of the cape, which, like I said, I do prefer and is the one I'll be keeping. I've got him into a flight pose or gliding pose, if you like. Just jumped off a ledge and sort of gliding down. You can see now, got the cape spread behind him, and does hold really nice. And does really fill up that cabinet as well, where it's spread. The way I've done it, I've sort of got his arms, the wire, they do fit into these as well, I've not mentioned that. Do slide in really nice, because obviously you've got 4 wires inside that section, and all you do is sort of push the arm up a tiny little bit, grip the cloth together with the 4 wires and just slide them down so they're in sort of inside here in his chest, same with both sides. And then the first wire I've run down his arm and wrapped it as if he's grabbing it with his fist, and then obviously the first vein or the first wire comes down here and catches the glide, same on the other side. Pretty much down to your imagination with the with what you can do with a cape. The more comics you read, or the more pictures you see, or splash pages from the comics or whatever, or scenes in the movie, you can really replicate it with the figure. So yeah, got him jumping out. Obviously got him on the new Goblin stand, which I always use, with the translucent pole. Just got him fastened here under his armpits and sort of leaping off, leaning. Got him gripping the pole with his legs. I mean, you could do variations on that. You could sort of bring one leg forward, drop his head down, and then have him more upright like that. Pretty much whatever you wanted to do. I went with the leap style pose. He's leaning off, his head back. He's gliding down from one rooftop to another. So yeah, all thanks to the cape. Got that looking pretty realistic. So I'll move on, probably do one more pose and sum up my thoughts on the cape. Right, final pose and final thoughts. I'll show you the pose first. Got him with his grapple gun, switched out his hands. I will say the hands, I have cut off the straps on these hands, so they do let the gauntlet drop lower down. One of the custom jobs I saw, and I have done that to all the hands, so if you look on there, there's no strap round, same on that. So yeah, it does let the gauntlet come closer, the hand, and it don't, that stops the gauntlet going right up to his elbow. So yeah, that's that done. The cape, obviously, got it pretty much draped down his back, but then as if it's blowing from behind, there is movement in the cape, just to make the pose sort of like that, like the cape's billowing behind him, and that's how it'll be staying. Yeah, all in all, really happy with the cape. It does what you want it to. Like I say, it's like anything. The more you put into it, the better results you get out of it. I've always wanted the wired cape for this figure. I mean, I could get mental with that. I could do some certain poses, but when I've posed it in this one for the final one, I pretty much posed it to go. It's going in the corner there behind Bane, so I were a little bit restricted with space, but I do love the cape. Turn it and show you. That's from the side. Again, plenty of movement from the cape. Does look mental. Really nice. And then obviously kicking around this side, blowing through. Really easy to do. I would say if you've got no patience and you just want to put it in his shoulders and leave it, then probably don't bother with a cape like this. It might be a little bit too much for you. But if you do want to sit there and you do want to pose it and you want to get some statue style poses out of your Batman, then I would definitely recommend it. Like I said before, I do prefer the 8-wired version, and I am keeping that, so therefore there's a 6-wired version for sale from me. Obviously the money's going to Rich, and I'll just be waiting for him to say, oh, somebody's agreed a price with me, will you send it to them? And I will send it. I want to say a massive thanks to Rich for even asking me to do this. There's a lot of great guys out there, better Batman customizers than me, who probably could have done this video. But like I said, I've been honest. I've said what I like about it. I was honest. I said I think the price is a little bit on the high side, but I can understand because having seen it, I know where the time goes. I mean, like I said before, I tried to make this cape and mine were nowhere near as good a material as this or cut and sew as this, and you know, I mean, I didn't put the sort of time in that Rich is putting in on these capes, so I do know where the money goes. On flip side to that, I would also say if I'd seen it and I thought the price was a little high, I would try and haggle with him. I'm not saying he will do, but that's what I would do. If you are desperate for one of these capes and you want to pay the price that it is, have a word with him, because I do see that he watches this. He watched the original video and he has been answering some comments. So get into him, see what you can sort out. Like I say, the clippers done what I said I would. I said I would video it, showing the best light. I've given you 4 or 5 nice poses there. I love it, I've got to be honest, and I won't go back to the Hot Toys cape. Like I said, the Tony My cape, if you've got it, respect to you, because it does look nice. If you just want to have your Batman stood there not doing a great deal, then the Tony My cape's the easy option. If you want it to look a little bit special, then I would go for this cape. So not much more I can say. Massive thanks to Rich, massive thanks to you guys for watching. But for now, this is Clipper King, and I'm out of here.